Dear learners, welcome to this online course. In today's topic, I am going to discuss about the distribution line equipment. I am Dr. Rakhi Sharma from School of Engineering and Technology, Indira Gandhi National Open University. So learners, in today's topic, we will see the different distribution line equipment. The basic objective of this session is to understand the distribution network line voltages, the factors affect the choice between the overhead and underground distribution lines. You will see what are the main equipment required for an overhead lines, and we will discuss the conductors, supports, cross arms and other electrical equipment in details. So electrical utility has the main functional areas: generation, transmission and distribution. So the industry doing all these or any of the business process, generation, transmission and distribution, is termed as electrical utility. So what is electrical utility? So this is what? This is industry, or you can say which is doing all kind of tasks related to the electrical business, generation, transmission or distribution. So the power plant typically produce 50 cycle per second alternating current electricity with voltage between the 11 kV and 33 kV at generating station. So at the these generation plant, the three-phase voltage is stepped up to a higher voltage for transmission. So high voltage and extra high voltage transmission is the next stage from power plant to transmit AC power over long distances at voltage of 220 volt, 400 kV and 765 kV. So that means after the generating station, the power is transmitted at very high voltage of these. So the transmission of high voltage, or you must be thinking that this transmission is this is AC transmission. So this is also possible in the case of DC. So the transmission of this high voltage direct current is favored where the transmission line lengths are over 1000 km to minimize the losses in generally in case of HVDC system, high voltage DC system. So now what is sub transmission network? So when after the generating station, when this is transmitted to at very high voltages, then it is again stepped down at when the sub transmission network comes, sub transmission stations. What happened there? This voltage is reduced to 132 kV, 110 kV, 66 kV or 33 kV, and this constitutes the next link in the transmission network. So what is distribution network? So in the distribution network, there are two main distribution network lines: primary distribution lines and secondary distribution lines. So primary distribution lines are at 33 kV, 22 kV, 11 kV, and secondary distribution lines 400 volt, 230 volt. So these secondary distribution lines, these are at 50 hertz, 230 volt single phase or 400 volt 3 phase for residential and light industrial services. Primary distribution lines feed the high consumers. When just like in distribution transformer, you see that the incoming lines at incoming lines 11 kilovolt. So incoming voltage is 11 kilovolt, and this voltage is changed to the 400 volt in the secondary side for the further distribution to the end users. So when the three-phase supply is used, then we can get the secondary distribution voltage or distribution supply at 400 volt, and from where we can also use the 230 volt single phase supply. So primary distribution line feeds the HT consumers and distribution transformers. The distribution transformers feed the low voltage distribution networks, which are the secondary distribution lines. Hence we can say the low voltage distribution network, which is called LV network, is the last link connecting to the consumers. So the distribution line can be either overhead lines or underground lines. So these are usually overhead, though for higher load densities in cities or metropolitan areas, these are underground. Due to the fast growth in the load density in major towns and cities, 66 kV, 33 kV, 11 kV and LT underground cables are being used to meet the ever growing demand of the electrical power. So how can we choose that whether we should go for the overhead line or underground? So the choice between the overhead and underground depends upon the number of widely differing factors such as feasibility in congested area, improvement in appearance of area, importance of service continuity, capital cost and useful life of the system, and other factor is the comparative annual maintenance cost. So let us see these factors one by one. Suppose the choice depends on the feasibility of the congested area. If we are saying the congested area, that means in town and in cities where almost all the roads are already occupied by low tension or high tension overhead lines, as you see the telephone lines, street light, advertising board, on the either side of the roads, underground cables are suitable option in that case. And further, the high rise buildings make it difficult to go for the overhead system for sub transmission or distribution. Second is the improvement in appearance of the area. In some places we want that we do not want overhead lines, this may look shabby. In that case also, for the appearance of that area, we may go for the underground lines. Then importance of service continuity, this may also be the factor which may be the reason for choice of the underground or overhead lines. So in some places you will see that the overhead system with bare conductors, and this may prone to the frequent breakdowns causing interruption in the power supply. So breakdown may caused by the abnormal weather conditions such as snow, rain, storms, lightning, fires, stress, accidents. So these are some reasons which may cause breakdown. So by employing underground cable ring system, an uninterrupted power supply can be maintained in such case. So we want service continuity. So here this is also the reason of choice for going to the some underground or overhead lines. Then capital cost and useful life of the system. So underground distribution cost are between 2 to 10 times that of the overhead system. So usually overhead lines are used for long lengths of transmission and distribution lines. Yet in some places underground cables is preferable choice, particularly important for metropolitan cities, city centers or airports and defense services. Moreover, this system is environment friendly and has long life also. So this may also be the reason. The next factor is comparative annual maintenance cost. So improved cable technology has reduced the maintenance cost of the underground system compared to the overhead system. Now see what is this overhead lines. So and overhead power lines are intended for the transmission of electric power by bare or covered overhead conductors. You can see in the picture, you all know about this. So shown in the figure that you can see that lines are supported by insulators generally mounted on the cross arm near the top of the pole. What is this cross arm? This cross arm, you can see that this is horizontal member of a cross near the top of the pole. So the overhead lines may be 66 kilovolts, 33 kilovolt, 11 kilovolt or LT lines, low tension lines. The basic equipment used for the line remains same in most of the overhead line of different kVs, and in some cases it may change according to the voltages. So the main equipment required for overhead line is as follows, like conductors, supports, then cross arms, insulators, there are earthing knobs, then earthing coil, and other equipment is that strain hardware set, then guard wires, LT line spacers, then other line accessories. So we describe each one of these in brief in next part. So here first of all the conductors. This conductor represents 30 to 50% of the installed cost of the line. Various conductors are used, like all aluminum conductors, this is AAC, then all aluminum alloy conductors, AAAC, this is a common name of this. Then aluminum conductor steel reinforced are generally used, these are called ACSR conductor. You have heard about this, that ACSR conductors are commonly used in overhead lines. So this is aluminum conductor steel reinforced. So technical specifications of conductors are covered in IS 398, and these conductors are standard construction, and they have the ultimate tensile strength of the whole conductor, which is based on the total strength. So the most common conductor which is used in transmission today is the aluminum conductor, steel reinforced, and you can also see some aluminum alloy conductors. So the size of conductors is standardized for the lines of different voltages. These are just indicated in here, that ACSR conductor of 11 kV line suppose. So in that case you can represent ACSR 7 by 2.1 mm. What is this 7 by 2.11? Here if I write 7 means this is strands, number of strands in that ACSR conductor. So it has 7 strands and each strand dia is 2.11. So here this is 20 millimeter square aluminum area is there. So similarly ACSR 7 by 2.51 mm, 30 millimeter square aluminum area. So ACSR conductor can be for the LT lines also. Like one example is that ACSR 7 by 2.11 mm. It is having the 7 strands and each strand has a dia of 2.11 mm, and the total diameter is of aluminum area is 20 millimeter square. So like this, these are conductors are represented. So as per IS 398, the wire used for ACSR aluminum conductors, steel reinforced, shall comply with the following tests. What are these tests? So breaking load test, then ductility test, wrapping test, resistance test, galvanizing test. So before employing these conductor for the overhead lines, so we have to use or we have to conduct these tests, or they should comply with these standards. Then other equipment is support. So this is very important, this is very main important for the distribution line. Support is what? Support is column of wood, concrete, steel or some other material, and the supporting, which is supporting the overhead conductors by means of arm or bracket. So these are poles, we in common language we say. So these supports used for overhead line construction, and it vary in design and purpose they have to perform. So structures for overhead lines take variety of shapes depending on the types of the conductor. So they may be the tubular steel poles, and they may be the lattice type steel pole towers. So tubular steel poles are typically used in the urban areas, and high voltage lines are often carried on the lattice type steel towers. So for the remote areas, aluminum tower may be placed by helicopters also. So pole made of reinforced plastic are also available, but and their high cost restrict their applications. So each structure must be designed for the loads imposed on it by the conductors. So basically the weight of the conductor must be supported, as well as dynamic loads. Dynamic loads are caused by the wind, ice accumulation and the effect of vibration. So this support should be able to bear all this weight or dynamic loads. Now what are the different type of supports for the overhead lines? So these are the wood poles, concrete poles, street poles, lattice type pole or tower we say. So these are very common kind of supports. So let us see what is wood pole. So wood pole, you know that chemically treated wood poles are used for the distribution lines, and the advantage of using the wood pole is that they are low in cost, however they are sustainable to decay. So the specification for the wood pole are covered under IS 876 and IS 5978. So these standards are there. So according to these standards, the timber suitable for the pole has been classified into the 3 groups depending upon its strength. For example, IS 6056 for jointed wood poles for overhead lines specified that the sal, deodar, cheer, kale would be used. So joint wood pole with wire bound lap joint are considerably less expensive and found in very suitable for LT and ST lines in rural areas. The next is the concrete pole. So concrete pole are more expensive than the wood pole but cheaper than the steel tubular pole. So concrete poles are 3 types: the precast cement concrete poles, PCC, made of the cement concrete, then reinforced cement concrete pole, RCC, pre-stressed cement concrete pole, PSCC. The low voltage because these concrete pole has the low maintenance and competitive price and aesthetic appearance of PCC pole makes them superior to the steel or wood for use in the electric lines. So each is, or we can say that because of the ease and speed of installation in is possible with this concrete pole, and it means the faster project completion and lower installation cost. Now reinforced cement concrete poles, RCC poles, they have an extremely long life and need little maintenance, but they are bulky in size and comparatively heavy, and they have a shattering tendency when hit by a vehicle. So pre-stressed cement concrete poles, PSCC poles, take care of these shortcomings to some extent. However, the handling and transportation and erection of these poles are more difficult because of their heavy weight. Now let us discuss about the steel poles. So there are 2 kinds of steel poles: steel tubular poles and old and second hand rail and rolled steel RS joints. So you know about the steel tubular poles. Generally the specifications are covered by IS 2713, and they possess distinct advantages over other type of poles due to their lightweight, high strength to weight ratio, because their weight is less, so that means, and strength is high, so high strength to weight ratio can be obtained, and they have the long life. So to prolong their life, use pole cap at the top and concrete muffing in the ground, and regular coating of the paint can be used to protect it from the corrosion. So these poles are typically used in the urban areas. Now second is the old and second hand rails or rolled steel RS joists. So these are frequently used as supports for overhead lines. The portion embedded in the ground should be protected by concrete muff and remaining portion by regular paint unless galvanized steel is used. Then other pole is the lattice type supports. So in very high voltage lines, generally these poles are used. So these are fabricated from narrow base steel structure, and that means if we are making it from the narrow base steel structure, that means they are in the lightweight. So because of this they will be economical, and they can be assembled at the site if bolted construction is used. Normally both welded and bolted types are used. So other over this distribution line equipment is cross arm. Cross arms, as name implies, over the pole, vertical pole, and the horizontal is the crossing is there. So this is the cross arm. The shape and length of the cross arm depend upon the desired configuration of conductors. Type of the cross arm and breakers which commonly used are the top clamps, V cross arm for tangent locations with clamps, then double channel cross arms for tension or cut point locations where double poles are used. So cross arm of handwood, that siso or sal or creosoted softwood, generally used cheer or fiberglass are used sometimes. So steel cross arms are stronger and last much longer. Mild steel angles, MS angle also we can say, and channel iron sections are generally used for this purpose. Smaller sections are used for communication circuits. So learners, in today's session we have discussed about the distribution network line voltages and the factors which affects the choice between the overhead and distribution lines. So the main equipment required for overhead lines have been discussed. So what are the main equipment? The main equipment are conductors, supports, cross arms, which we have discussed in this session, and in the next session we will discuss about the insulators, earthing knob, earthing coil, strain hardware set, guard wire, and LT line spacers, line accessories. So these all are the equipment required for overhead lines. Thank you.